Okay.
My name is Anise Coopwood. I go by Coop. I'm a senior. Um, and do you want to go, Abby?
Yep. My name is Abigail Ward. I go by Abby, and I'm a freshman.
Okay. I'm Willard Jackson, and I go by Willard or Will. And when I was younger, I had a nickname, Sonny.
Oh, interesting. So, speaking about when you were younger, could you tell us a little bit about where you're from and a little bit about your family?
Okay. Yeah, I was born in Canton, 1937, February the 18th. So that's been a long time ago. Um, my dad was Willard Sr., and he was originally from Canton. My mother was Irma Jackson, and she was born out in the country somewhere. From, and I had a sister that was a year and 9 months older than me, Joanne. And my dad, at one period in his life, worked at Culver-Stockton, I think in the kitchen area. And my mother was a cook at the college also. And she spent, I think, like 27 years there. My sister, I think she took some classes at Culver-Stockton, but when she graduated from high school, she went to Illinois State, which is in Normal, Illinois. And all three of those relatives are deceased now. And back at that particular time, we went to a segregated school called Lincoln School. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a historical site in Canton. And one-room schoolhouse, one teacher, and so it was a good experience. But when you're younger, it doesn't have the same impact that it does as you get older when you progress through the grades. But every day I had to walk past the white school, and I had friends that went there, and we played a lot. And but as I got older, I'm wondering, it did have a psychological effect on me, I guess. I must not be equal in essence to the white students, and but we got a good education. But one of the things that I found out, well, I had two teachers. I think for first and second grade, a teacher, and I think she was from St. Louis. She left. We had another teacher named Bertie Nickerson, and she was from Canton. I didn't realize it, but I knew in the summertime she would go away to school. She would go to Jefferson City to Lincoln University. And I didn't realize it at that particular time that she didn't have a degree. And she was getting the classes and getting everything she needed to get her certification for teaching. And in fact, when she graduated from Lincoln University, I actually got the opportunity to go to her graduation. I was in high school at that particular time. So I thought that was quite an event. But when my sister, she was 2 years ahead of me in school, she graduated, and because we would have had to drive or ride a bus to Hannibal, I don't know if you're familiar with Hannibal, but it's about 35 miles away one way, and we would have had to ride a bus to go to school, and the other black students that went on would have to do that, or some had their families that moved to Iowa or Illinois where they could continue their education. And but we had an aunt and uncle that lived in Peoria, and my sister came and lived with them during the school year, and went to high school. And so I followed 2 years later and went to high school here. And it wasn't until in 1954, when the legislation was passed for integration of schools, opened the schools in Canton for except African American students. But I decided that I wanted to stay in Peoria and continue school because it was a good school system, and I figured it would be to my advantage to continue school here. Any other questions at this time? Maybe?
No, that was great. So could you get a little bit about, because you talked about you lived in Peoria a little bit. How did you get back to Canton and choose Culver?
Okay, we would come and stay for the school year, but we'd come home or go home for Thanksgiving, and we would go home also on the Christmas break. And my dad would come and get us, or someone would come and get us and then bring us back. But during the summertime, we would then stay in Canton and participate in activities there, played ball and some of those types of things. Also, sometimes in the summer, they would have conferences at Culver-Stockton, and I would work as a dishwasher with a neighbor of ours. He was a dishwasher, so he would hire me to work with him during those conferences. And I would cut grass and work for my dad. He did painting of houses and that type of thing. So I would work with him, and I'd make pretty good money doing that. So wasn't my favorite job, but at least I did learn how to do that. For 4 years, I was here in Peoria, developed a lot of friendships. And so that's got me through the high school years. Of course, in 1955 was the first year that Culver-Stockton was integrated in terms of students. And so there was 5 Black students that started that fall. And I was a walk-on on the football team. So, of course, this was my home. I knew both of the coaches. The athletic director was assistant coach, and Ken Robb was the head coach. But I knew them because I'd go up to the college when they would be having their preseason and practices and so forth, spend time up there. But that was just kind of an introduction to the school. We also had some, like I think a week before school, we also had some activities that help us get acclimated. But we knew a lot of the white children, students, and from Canton, and so that was a good thing for us also. There, like I said, there was 5 African American students that started. In addition to myself, there was Walter Richardson. He lived in Monticello, which is about 12 miles west of Canton. There was also my first cousin. I call her my twin cousin. We were born the same day, Darlene Taylor, and she had attended Canton High School. Well, her senior year, Canton High School. Walter had attended Lewiston High School. He was a basketball player and baseball player, so he was recruited for basketball, and he also played baseball at Culver. Darlene was, I think she got an academic scholarship. They didn't call them scholarships. I think they called them grantees or something else. But so that's how she was able to go to Culver. And she only attended 1 year and decided to move to Detroit, where her sister was and her family. So Marvin Range was another young man from Canton. He was recruited, I guess, for the choir, And I don't know if he was a music major or not. I'm not sure what his major was, but that was the area where he excelled at. Um, he didn't complete the 4 years at Culver either. He got married and started a family. So, and there was a young man from Quincy that was recruited for football, Kent Mowry, and he played. I don't think Kent got his degree, but I think he was there all 4 years to play football. But I don't believe he got his degree. Walter Richardson was the first one to get a degree. He got it in 1955. I finished up in summer school in 1959. And so Walter went into the Air Force, and after I finished school, I also went into the Air Force. I didn't get my degree until, well, I was in Japan when they had the graduation, so I couldn't attend the graduation in 1960. But so that was basically the start of activity. And I noticed you got what sort of activities were you involved in? Like I said, I was involved in football. I was involved in intramural sports, but I was also, Marvin Range and I was also asked to pledge for a fraternity, which was kind of unique. It was a local fraternity called Mu Theta Nu. Now it's Teak, or Tau Kappa Epsilon. And so Marvin didn't follow through. I did, and I became a member of Mu Theta Nu. It's kind of interesting that I don't know, a couple of years they decided to go with Teak, and I just became more of a social member, I guess. I wasn't really enthused in continuing at that particular time, but I did have a relationship. I played intramural sports with them, and that was pretty much the extent of it. I was also on the Student Senate for 1 year. I think that's what they called it back then. That was so I was a representative from the, I don't know if it's from the fraternity or who, but those were just some of the things that I was involved in. And any other questions concerning that area?
That was all great. I'm amazed that you are actually so familiar with Kenton and the school already. Was there anyone on campus when you were here that really stands out to you or stood out to you while you were here?
I would say I had a math teacher for, I think it was just one class. And in fact, it was actually business math, I guess is what it was called. And he kind of stood out to me. He was, his teaching style was a little different than a lot of the other professors. And I really appreciated him, the way he presented things. And I can remember the name of the course was How to Lie with Statistics. Maybe that was why I took it, I don't know. But the way he presented it was very interesting. And also, I can't recall now some of the other faculty members that stood out to me, but I can't think of any at this particular time.
All right. I actually, for some reason, I can't see everyone. So Abby, did you have any questions you wanted to present?
Yes. So I actually wanted to ask how the social atmosphere was on campus when you attended Culver-Stockton.
Say again?
How was the social atmosphere here on campus?
Okay. Our freshman year, homecoming, the football team was the honor guard for the queen in her court. And so there was two of us, Kent Mallory and myself was involved with that. The four males students, we all attended the homecoming event, and we had dates, and they were all young ladies that were not obviously from the campus or students, but in my mind, I thought that was very unique, the fact that these four young ladies were all very attractive young ladies. And I thought I compared them with the queen in her court, and I thought these four ladies could very well have been the queen or in that position. And so that was one social event that I attended. Pretty much, there was also another event. I can't remember if it was our freshman year or the sophomore year, but either one of those years, we had Count Basie. I don't know if you're familiar with Count Basie, probably not, but he was back in that particular era. There was a lot of big bands. You had Duke Ellington, Count Basie, can't think of some of the other big bands at that particular time, but they were very popular. And Count Basie and his band came to perform at a concert, and it was back in the old gym. And so what was interesting about that, my mom had a first cousin, and she had lived in California, and she had met Count Basie and knew him. They were friends when she was in California. And so she told us, I think one of her nieces was there, and some of the rest of us were there in that group, and she took us to backstage to introduce us to him. And I thought that was a highlight of my time at Culver-Stockton also. What we didn't know is that there was a bomb threat that night. And I know when we talked and met with Count Basie, he was kind of tentative, and he was kind of cautious. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't think it was because I think that was before the performance. And but we found out later on that there was a bomb threat, and we don't know. I never did find out where it came from, and I thought that was really unusual. That didn't sound like Canton or Culver-Stockton having something like that, but that's the first time that they had a African American group come on campus and perform at that particular time. So that might have had something to do with it. As far as social life, because we were familiar with Keokuk, Iowa, and Fort Madison, and Burlington, and Quincy, and Hannibal. All of our social life was pretty much off campus because we had friends in those communities and events that we would go and attend, dances and that type of thing. But as far as social life on Culver-Stockton, I mean, we interacted with the students, but not in any social events. I could have gone to the fraternity that I belonged to. They had an annual spring or fall dance or something, and I chose not to go because it's a different atmosphere for me.
Yeah, that's honestly really interesting, and shows the change of Culver now, and also some continuity.
Yeah.
So since graduating, you said in the summer of 1959, how active with the college have you been since?
I used to go back for homecoming several times when I was younger, um, and that was always a good time just to go back and see some of the students that had played football with, and some of the other students as well. Um, Walter Richardson, that I had mentioned, who was a basketball player, his team, I can't remember now what year, they were inducted into the Hall of Fame. So I made sure that I went back there to be with him for that event. And then the football team one year, I can't remember if it was our first or second year, we had a pretty good season for Culver. And I think our record was like 7-2. And so we, well, that team was inducted into the Hall of Fame also. So I was back there for the homecoming and then for the official introduction or induction into the Hall of Fame at a dinner event. So I was there for that. But like I said, I'd go back because my home was there, and I'd go back for homecoming and on several occasions. As far as after that, I am a contributor to the school, not a large sum of money, but I do try to contribute on an annual basis. This year I did contribute. They're trying to establish a Hall of Fame, I guess, some type, and I did make a contribution for that. And in fact, I got an email about actually yesterday, I think it was, asking for some kind of financial contribution, but it was something other than what I normally would give, and I didn't respond to it. But
Sorry. I was gonna ask, after you graduated, had Culver kept in touch with you or assisted you in finding places of work following your graduation?
they didn't because see, I was in the Air Force for 4 years after I left Culver-Stockton, so there was a period of time when I really didn't have any connection. A couple of years in Japan, and I was stationed, well, and my last, when I came back from Japan, I was stationed in New York State, and I got married a couple months before I was discharged. So that I really didn't have any contact, but I did have contact later on, and correspondence. I get mailings from them, and I'm on the alumni list for mailings and solicitations and that type of thing. I get correspondence from the teak fraternity as well, but I don't really have much dealings with them. I just don't feel that I'm a part of that organization. In fact, back then, I'm not sure. It was kind of disappointing to me, the fact that I joined, because back then, national fraternities did not normally have minority members and Black members. And so I just didn't feel comfortable being a part of that fraternity at that time. And so I don't really participate in anything that they have. As far as jobs, no. When I got out of the Air Force, my wife and I came back to Canton to spend some time with my parents, and then we came to Peoria, and that's when I started looking for a job, and was able to. I had an interview at a bank, and but one guy wanted to hire me and the other guy didn't, and I understand why, because the guy that really had the most clout was saying, well, if we hire him, he's not going to stay here. He's going to get a job probably at Caterpillar. And it didn't bother me. I did interview at Caterpillar, and I was able to get a job in the parts distribution facility, which is in Morton, Illinois. And I was the first Black male in that facility, in the office. And I was on the salary payroll. I was got one promotion, and then I took a class that they had preparing and more or less in evaluating individuals for the management payroll. And but they were really looking for management people in the warehouse area. And so if I passed the class, I was accepted into a pool for jobs in the warehouse. And I ended up a few months later getting a job working for a superintendent in the warehouse. And it was a good experience. Of course, you're dealing with union personnel. It was kind of interesting. Before I actually went on that position, the plant manager called me into his office, and I'm wondering now, what does he want to see me about? And so I had the session with him, and he's kind of trying to prepare me for what I might experience, and that was understandable, and I appreciated it. But I never had any problem with the union personnel. You know, they pretty much let you know what they think. But I was able to develop a pretty good rapport with the men and women in the warehouse. And I was only out there for about 6 months, but it was just preparing me for the bigger picture of the parts distribution operation. And then I went back, but my first job was in the office and was in the computer center. And I was trained as a computer operator. I was responsible for the file of magnetic tapes that we had. These are old computer systems that we had back then. We had a lot of magnetic tapes where we stored data on. And I was promoted to a technician, and then when I went back into the office, I went back into the back then we call it data processing. I was a supervisor on third shift in the computer center, and moved to second shift, and then eventually to first shift, and several different jobs that I had there. I wanted to move to another area because I thought I was limited. Normally I could have gone if I had the skills for programming, and I didn't fit that mold. And I realized that I had taken some programming courses, but that wasn't something that I wanted to pursue. So I asked to be not traded, but I asked if I could get a job in another area, in the inventory control management area. And I was transferred there, and spent the rest of my time, I can't remember now how many years. I had a total of almost 36 years when I retired. And but I was able to serve in management on several different jobs, lower level management jobs, but I got a lot of experience, and I think that's really important for anyone going into any kind of job situation that you're not familiar with. You better learn as much as you can, and I was fortunate and blessed to be able to meet people in different areas and talk with them, and be able to extract information that would be valuable to me. So I really enjoyed that.
I'd like to ask Abby. I can't see you. I sincerely apologize. Did you have any questions?
Nope. He answered all of my questions that I had.
Okay.
Yeah. So the last question that I do have,
Okay.
is, do you have any advice for current students at Culver?
Message from
Do I have what?
Gary Warden.
Do you have any advice for current
Oh,
students at
oh,
Culver today?
Well, obviously, it's always important to have good rapport with the teachers, instructors, and not only them or those that you have classes with, but try to get to know some of the other staff and teaching staff as well, because it might come in, you might decide that there might be some classes in other areas that could be valuable to you in your future endeavors in life. And so Culver-Stockton is a small school. How many students do they have? It's less than 1,500, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe like a 1,100 maybe?
1,100, yeah. And it was much smaller than that when I was there. So you knew everybody. And I think interaction with other students is vital and important too. Like I said, I knew some of the students that was from Canton, and with some of them I had pretty good rapport with. We had a few foreign students, and probably didn't have I did. I had a couple in my history class, but one was more open than the other one. In fact, one might have been in the fraternity. I can't remember. He was from Iraq, I believe. And I know they have some programs where you can actually go to other countries, right? I think I read something about that and those are valuable programs as well to participate in if you can. We obviously didn't have that back in my day, but I have found being in a foreign country, it's very interesting how their educational system works. In Japan, they placed a lot of emphasis on the education of their children, and they wear uniforms, and you knew which ones were students, and they take a lot of pride in, and they really drill into them whatever they're learning, and they learn a foreign language. I don't know if either of you have taken any foreign languages or not, but that's important. Fortunately in high school, I took 2 years of German. So when I was in the Air Force, my first choice was to go to Germany. Well, I didn't quite make it. My second choice was Japan. So, but, and if you ever get a chance to go to a foreign country, you need to learn as much of the language that you can. We had classes that were offered. I didn't take any Japanese classes because I worked a rotating schedule, so it was kind of difficult to maintain and attend the classes all the time. But I had a couple of friends that took classes, and I learned a lot of Japanese from them. So.
Well, it was so nice speaking with you.
Well, I was looking forward to it. And the young man that was supposed to be part of this, what happened to him?
I think he had a football event.
Yeah, he had impromptu football practice.
Oh,
Yeah.
different schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, I'm so appreciative of you personally because you were one of the first African-American students to come to Culver, therefore being the gateway for me to come to Culver. So I am so appreciative and grateful for your contributions to the college.
Can I ask you, where are you from? Are you from a native?
I'm from Joliet, Illinois.
You're from Joliet? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And Abigail, where are you from?
I'm actually from Hannibal.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We used to have a few Hannibal students, and we had a lot of Chicago area students at that particular time too. And we had some rivalries because of my high school playing basketball and competing with some of those schools. But we had a lot of fun, especially at tournament time.
Yeah, I understand.
Mm. I think there was something else I probably maybe forgot, but at least we tried to cover as much as we could.
Yeah, the Zoom call goes for about 45 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
So I didn't want to, like, we were talking and all of a sudden it cuts off.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
However, I do hope to stay in touch. And we're
Okay,
constantly doing these interviews, so there could be
Yeah.
possibly we interview once more.
okay. I would enjoy doing that again. This
Yeah.
is the first opportunity I've had like this with Culver-Stockton and to really interact on this type of level, and I really appreciate it. I'm glad that I was able to do it, and so I wish the best for both of you. And so, senior, if you have any prospects of what you're going to do when you leave Culver?
Oh, yeah. Yes. I'm looking at graduate schools currently right now. Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes.
I've got a granddaughter that's a senior in high school, and she's been looking at colleges.
I remember that. I'm currently in that same process.
Okay.
All right, then. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Like I said, I am
Okay.
so excited. So this is probably a highlight of my, because I major in history, and I do most of my research on the pioneers of integration higher education. So this means so much to me. So
Okay.
thank you so much for talking to
I
us.
appreciate it. I really
Yeah, so
appreciate it.
I hope you have a great day.
Okay, well, I got another session coming up at 6. I didn't know if I'd be able to make that one or not. But
Yeah,
yes,
I
can.
just don't want us to start talking a lot and then it cuts off on us.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
God bless
See you
both
later.
of you.
God bless you too.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right.